This week on American Airgunner, we're traveling to Fresno, California for the Pacific Airgun Expo, one of the best airgun expos in the country. We're sitting down at the round table, and this week's topic, airgun ammunition. Rick Usler will review a new product, and of course, it's the Airgunner Challenge, where Bob and Amanda are headed to an X's and O's elimination round. But it's not all hugs and kisses, because someone is going to run out of air. All right, it's time for an American Airgunner road trip. Heading north up to Fresno to go to the Pacific Airgun Expo. Here they got some great stuff, so we're gonna head up there and check it out. All right, so we're in Fresno, California at the county fairgrounds for the Pacific Airgun Expo. So I hear they've got old guns, new guns, an ROTC state champion shooting team. We're gonna go in and see what the Pacific Airgun Expo is all about. Come on. All right, I'm now joined by John Brooks, who's one of the promoters here at this event. And John, so how you doing today?
Good.
Yeah?
A lot of activity. I think people are having fun. One of the reasons we do it is it's important to bring some new shooters into the fold, younger people. And every kid I've ever met who gets a chance to shoot likes it.
Yeah.
And so if we can start them out in a safe environment with a gun that's appropriate for that age group and they can have some success, perhaps then they'll keep that through adulthood.
All right, so I'm now joined by First Sergeant Mike Romero, who is the instructor of the Marine Junior ROTC program at Selma High School. So tell me a little bit about the Marine Junior ROTC program.
The Marine Corps JROTC program is a leadership program. We work on developing team building, management skills, and basically what we try to develop on the students is self-confidence. They have the opportunity of earning a scholarships either through the regular channels or through what we call a ROTC scholarship,
okay,
which is worth about $250,000.
All right, so I'm here with Randy Brimrose, who is one of the the organizers here of this event, helping out. So, Randy, how you doing today?
I'm doing quite well.
Good, man. So, tell me, you're kind of set up back here. You keep having classes back here. What are you doing here at this this gun show?
Well, the classes are just kind of an introductory to show the people what's inside the gun. So this is just kind of a teaser to make them aware of some of the dangers of working on the guns.
All right, so Ben, you're obviously a collector of old air guns. You make, it looks like, all kinds of air guns.
Behind the eight ball, Jack.
Yeah, right, of course.
So I've been looking for one of these Tell ones forever. I'll give the big bucks. You can open my wallet by...
There it is. Now, this is the Holy Grail. If you have one, we want to know about it.
My Holy Grail, right.
If you know where it's at, let us know. AmericanAirgunner.com. We want to know where this gun is. All right, so I'm now joined by Martin Oro and Hank Elwood. These guys are air gun enthusiasts, to say the least. Martin, tell me a little bit about what you guys do.
Well, Hank has been into muzzle loaders for almost 40 years. I've been into air guns for about as long.
Okay.
And about a little over 10 years ago, we were reading about that Lewis and Clark carried an air gun.
Right.
So Hank bought a couple of barrels, 3 barrels, and we started off building an air gun that was considered to be the Lewis and Clark air gun.
You guys shoot these, you fire these.
Yes. Yeah, this one has probably 100 rounds through it. Mine has probably about 300.
Take me through a gun like, how does a gun like this work? It's kind of built to the specifications of the time,
This
right?
unscrews. Go ahead and unscrew it.
Okay.
Okay, it's fairly heavy. It's about 5 pounds. It's twice the weight of the original. The original was made out of hammered iron sheet that was riveted and brazed together. It ran at about 800 to 900 psi. This one is machined from solid steel, silver soldered together, and I pressure tested it to 3,000 psi. So they had a speed loader. So there's 20 balls in here. You just pour them in, you're loaded. This is a sliding breech. There's a hole in it that lines up with the barrel. When you flip it over, it lines up with the magazine, drops a ball in, you release it, you're ready to go. 20 times.
Wow. All right, the Pacific Airgun Expo was awesome, but stay with us. We got a whole lot more right here on American Airgun. All right, it's time for our American Airgunner Trivia, brought to you this year by our friends at Blue Book Publications.
Life can be loud, but sometimes silence is golden. Introducing the Umarex Fusion Air Rifle with a combination of CO2 power, the Silence Air 5 chamber noise dampener, and a precision rifled barrel. The Fusion is a bona fide tack driver that's the quietest air rifle you'll ever own. Experience silence with the Umarex Fusion at umarexusa.com/Fusion TV.
Airgunners. Spend less, shoot more. Pyramid Air.
All right, guys, it's time for another round table. As usual, I'm joined by Rick Usler, Jim Chapman, and of course, the Godfather, Tom Gaylord. So guys, today we are talking ammunition. All right, I know there's a lot of different sizes, shapes, all kinds of different things that I'm sure people want to know about. I know I do. So let's start, first of all, what are the different shapes of pellets?
We have 4 or 5 different shapes. We've got domed pellets or round nose pellets. We have pointed pellets. We have flat pellets that we call wad cutters. And we have hollow points. And there are variations on that, but those are the 4 main.
And these are, we're talking, this is the basic, the 177 to maybe 22 caliber pellet.
25 as well. They come in the same mixture of heads.
There's really 4 calibers, 177, 20, 22, and 25.
Okay.
So those are your 4 small bore calibers.
What are the differences, especially if you're talking hunting?
Well, it's a funny thing. The pellet that was designed to be a hunting pellet are called pointed or field tips. I don't use them that often because in most guns they're not the most accurate pellet. Probably the typical pellet used by most airgun hunters is a round nose or a dome pellet. And the reason is that they have good terminal performance, they penetrate well, they offload a lot of energy on the animal that you're hunting, and they're accurate. Importantly, they're accurate out of most guns.
Generally speaking, what you want is the most accurate pellet. I don't care if it's pointed, I don't care if it's got a red flaming thing coming out the backside, doesn't matter. You want to find the most accurate pellet. And for some guns, that's going to vary wildly. You find that most accurate pellet and you just stick with it.
What about when we move into the bigger rifles with some of the bigger caliber bullets? Talk to me about those a little bit.
All bets are off. When you get into what we call a conical bullet, like this.
Okay.
The conical bullet, they have the same ballistics as they would if they were shot in a firearm. The only difference is they're not going as fast out the muzzle when they're shot from an air gun.
There's a few different shapes here. I mean, some are, like you said, a cone, a little bit more a normal bullet. Some look like, I don't even know what, like a red paper cup.
All right, that right there is a shape that is more conducive to making the bullet or pellet than it is to shooting it.
Okay.
It happened to work out that the swage was easy to machine. The thing that squeezed the lead down was easy to machine. Your bullet shape, that's your more efficient projectile over long range. And then you have something like this, I don't know, that's a hollow point. It's also a sort of a pointed bullet. It's not a very long range bullet, but it's very effective at close range, especially on game animals.
Yeah, there's actually a bit of a debate going on with any of these, whether the hollow points make sense in the big bore, because you're not shooting at very high velocities, so you don't get the expansion that you would out of a firearm and the hydrostatic shock delivered to the animal. On the other hand, what my experience has been that the hollow points, especially the large hollow points, they cut a very clean hole through the game, so they give a cleaner wound channel, a larger wound channel that doesn't close back up. So I think the hollow point has some legs in big game hunting.
The differences in, let's talk about like a break barrel. You put one pellet in, you shoot it, put another pellet in, shoot it, versus like the little magazines that come in some of the pistols, and now we're seeing in some of the rifles where you can put 8 or 10 or 12 or whatever in. Do you see a difference in if you're shooting more rapidly versus just loading a single at a time?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In fact, with that type of magazine, the circular clip, you really shouldn't use pointed pellets because they're just a little bit longer than they should be, and like as not, they'll tie up the gun. They'll jam the gun.
Now, for the lazy hunter like myself, or if it's cold and you're wearing gloves, or if you just have, some people just have big fat fingers, is there an easier way than grabbing one pellet at a time and sticking it in?
Oh yeah. We got some samples here on the table. This one is in 177, and you see here, if I'm going to push up here, it's got pellets in there.
Okay.
So you can actually line that up with the breech of the gun, pop your pellet in.
I feel like you already don't like this.
No, I was going to say it's a great thing because one of the problems I've had using my Springer is I see a squirrel running up in the tree and I want to take the shot and my fingers are numb like you were mentioning. I'm dropping one pellet.
I'm seeing another one over here, but it's got a point on it.
That little guy there is a pellet seeder.
Okay.
So you've loaded your pellet into the barrel. This allows you to push it into the rifling deeper, and you can adjust this to the depth you want.
The other really cool point about that is that some guns, the breech may not be beveled as much as it should. So you'll insert a pellet, you'll have a skirt half sticking out. When you go to shut that gun, it cuts the skirt off. So when you have that kind of a tool in your arsenal, you know that you can always seat it exactly the same way. That's going to improve accuracy. And you actually use the pellets properly.
All right, well, let's just talk, guys. We're almost out of time, but I just want to, if someone out there has just gone out and bought their first pellet gun, maybe they've just got a nice, good break barrel of some sort, what's the best way for them to go about finding the right ammunition for the gun that they own?
Get some sample packs. Pyramid Air sells RWS, JSB, and H&N sample packs. If you spend a little money on that, you're going to walk away with about 20 different pellets. And one of those pellets is going to shoot pretty darn good in your gun, more than likely.
Guys, that's all the time we got for this round table. I appreciate you guys, as always. Great information. If you guys want to know more about the pellets and the bullets that we're talking about, go to AmericanAirgunner.com. You can find information there. And, of course, all these guys' websites and information is there, too. So, appreciate it. Now, let's find out what's best for Rossi. I think it's going to be a shotgun, let's be honest.
A legend in innovation and tradition. These classical and modern masterpieces have sent pellets downrange for over 3 decades. German engineered to last a lifetime. Quality, power, precision. RWS, the world's finest air rifles.
It's now time for a gun review segment. And of course, I'm joined by Rick Usler, my favorite gun critic of all time. Rick, how you doing?
Obviously.
So let's talk the new Umarex Fusion. This is a great gun, interesting gun. Tell me a little bit about it.
Well, I got to tell you, first of all, that I have been desperately waiting to get my hands on one of these.
This gun, a little different from some of the rifles we've seen from Umarex. It's a CO2 powered rifle, but 12 gram.
Yep.
Not 88 gram.
Right, and that's actually pretty common. We're going to start with the front with the silence air technology. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. What people want for shooting air guns is they want them quiet. Mm-hmm. Now, when I first tested this in the shop, I thought for sure that they had just spent money overnighting me a defective gun. I'll go ahead and pass a couple pellets over the chronograph, and she was shooting over 700 feet per second. And I hear nothing.
Nice.
Now, for a CO2 gun to shoot at 700 feet per second and with lead pellets, that's substantial.
Yeah.
I was very impressed. The DB rating on this is in the low 90s. To put that into perspective, a quiet spring gun is around 100. This is perfect for indoor shooting, backyard shooting. This is going to be just an ideal gun for that target shooting. That person that really wants extreme accuracy, good target shooting gun, this is going to satisfy a lot of people.
This is where you load the CO2 cartridge.
Yeah,
Hey, is it difficult? Is it? How do you do it?
Okay, if I'm going to be honest,
yeah,
I had to read the manual.
Really?
I did.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Rick Usler had to read the manual.
Because, you know, it's usually not that complicated. You put a CO2 in, you seal it, you fire it, you're done.
Yeah.
There's a few steps in this, and if we have the time, I'd like to go through them.
Okay.
Because I think it'll help people better understand what the gun has.
Sure. So as we move down, obviously it's a 177 caliber.
It is.
It's single shot. Let's talk about this. Is this how it comes in the box? Do you get the scope?
It's composite stock, single shot bolt action. It does come with a scope. It comes unmounted, so you'll have to put the scope on it.
Right.
The beautiful thing about the CO2 guns, and they're much like the PCP guns in this way, there's no recoil.
Right.
So to shoot this, all you need is a decent bench rest, some spare time, and some targets, and you can get very, very good results so long the gun does its job. And this one absolutely does its job. I've got some targets here. That shot group is 5 shots at 10 yards.
I can't do that.
Okay. Oh, the other thing is, you can with this gun.
Really?
I don't think you'd have any problem at all.
That's impressive.
With a bench rest, shooting 10 yards, you can get that group. Like I said, most CO2 guns, there's one cap, you put the CO2 in, you're done.
Right.
This gun actually has some important features I want to go through.
Okay.
The first thing that's different is that this gun requires 2 CO2 cartridges. Now what makes that special is that when you pierce both cartridges in here, it actually charges this whole cylinder. Now, here's a shot tape I brought. This is a 10-shot group, and my extreme spread is only 10.2 feet per second. That's very tight.
Yes.
That means that from one shot to the next, your variation's not going to be that great, and that's going to allow you to put that pellet exactly where you want time and time again. This thing actually has 3 little knobs at the end here.
Okay.
So this first one is actually left-hand threaded.
So, okay, so that's reverse thread. Got it.
And you're going to have to read that in the manual, and you're probably going to have to read it more than once. So the next thing you're going to do on this one is the manual says screw it all the way in, and then screw it out 3 full rotations. And that basically makes sure that there's no pressure on the valve. This is a relief valve.
Okay.
So it allows you to dump the CO2 to store the gun empty if you so choose to. The next thing you're going to do is go ahead and remove this, and this is the whole main valve assembly. And then this valve assembly comes out.
Okay.
So that's the valve, the relief valve assembly for your gun. We need 2 CO2 cartridges. We need RWS chamber lube.
Okay.
Now what we're going to do is we're going to put a drop on the tip of each of these CO2 power
Right,
lights.
with every CO2 gun. I mean, it's just
That's how you keep it lubricated inside.
Sure.
Okay. We're going to drop that in.
So that one goes in point first.
Correct.
Okay.
And the next one
goes
goes in
back to
butt
back.
first. So now we take our valve here, we push that in.
Just till it locks.
Don't push it in all the way, or you can puncture the CO2.
Okay.
And we're going to set.
So you're not trying to puncture the CO2 at that point?
Not yet. You're
Got
just
it.
setting this in.
Okay.
Now we're going to screw this all the way in. Now this action is going to actually pierce both CO2s in the chamber and dump the CO2 into this cylinder. The valve is only there if you want to empty the CO2. So if I screwed this in,
Yeah.
it would actually open this valve and dump all the CO2 out of the gun.
So then you just throw your cap on that's more for protection?
Right? And again, it's reverse threaded.
Why don't we go give a couple test shots and see how it fires?
Absolutely. Sounds
Okay.
great. Want to give it a shot?
Yeah, let me just for the casual hunter who would, come out and do it like I do. Here we go. And this gun is really light.
Did you hear, or I should say, did you not hear?
The silence is just, and that's revolutionary.
I mean, that new silencer suppressor makes all the difference in the world. It makes it that you can shoot in just about any backyard and nobody is even gonna be bothered at all.
If you want more information on the Umarex Fusion, go to AmericanAirgunner.com. And of course, Rick Usler likes it. He's told you all about it. It's a great gun. Next week on American Airgunner, we're traveling around the world. First, down to Florida to visit a friend of the show, Sean Myman, where he'll show us a more casual style of airgun hunting. Then we're back in California to visit a unique training facility, CQB City. And finally, it's back across the ocean to Germany, where we get a detailed description and review about the Walther LGV. And once again, we're down to 3 in the Airgunner Challenge. We'll see you next week.